the season's over. I get it. But there's not a damn soul that thought what had transpired in Sacramento yesterday was going to happen. Like, they could have lost, but the way they lost, I'm sorry, partner, this will be one during the run or the dynasty, if it's over, that I'll remember. That's not where I had this train stopping.
888-957-9570. We're obviously into all things Warriors right now. We can talk about the game last night and what happened, how they looked, how Sacramento played, or we can look toward the future, the offseason. 888-957-9570. Let's go to Tim is in Raleigh, North Carolina. What's up, Tim? How you doing, man? Welcome to the show.
What's up, guys? How y'all doing today?
Hey.
You know, from looking at that thing yesterday, you know, and what we're talking about today, you know, to me, it's time. These three guys can finish their career together. I think that they can. I think that it's going to take a mindset of leaning into the youth, the coaches embracing it, these players embracing it, and just realizing that it's time to kind of, I'm not going to say go a different direction, but we got to start empowering the youth, embracing, running action. Think about yesterday. It was two young guys out there that kept us pretty much from losing by 50, right? Between two players, they kept us 32 points between them two. If Moody and J.K. were no-shows like Clay was, we lose by 50, right? And those were two players that didn't have actions ran for them. They didn't have plays ran for them. You had Steph out there doing his one-on-one thing, you know, just turning the ball over, Dre turning the ball over. These guys just did what they did from sheer talent and will, right? And maybe these guys need to recognize. Remember, Steiny, a couple of years ago, I called you and I talked about how they had that cocoon and they didn't want them young guys to be a part of it, right? Now it's time to embrace that we have to lean to that. Right, we on this phone right now, and I'm listening to Guru talking about marketing, and we talking about how we just got our heads beat in for being old and not having young athletic guys. And for the sheer fact to even come out somebody's mouth is to get rid of probably one of the best athletes in the league, top 5. It makes absolutely no sense to me, right? So think about it. We saw Keegan Murray last night drop 32. Why is Keegan what he is now? After having a terrible playoff last year, he has been empowered. He has been believed in. He has been allowed to work through mistakes, play through mistakes. Why is Halliburton what he is? Why is all of these young guys in the league? Trey Murphy, y'all been talking about Trey Murphy. Why is Trey Murphy what he is? He has been empowered. He has been allowed to play through mistakes. Why does everybody else's young person look better than what we got in our own cupboard? Why can't we take
Tim, I got you. Tim, I got you. And that's why you can't, when you say lean into the youth, I don't think you can. That's like, you can't transition, you can't lean into youth, and you can't change your direction if you're moving forward with Steph, Clay, and Draymond. Like, they're too integral. Like, if you bring Clay back, I don't care what anybody says, if those guys are healthy, they will play, they will be among the top 5 guys in minutes played on the team. It'll be Curry, it'll be Clay, it'll be Draymond, it'll be Wiggins, and it'll be probably Kuminga. Like, you can't change direction unless these guys are making money where they're just 16-minute per game players. But Steph is, like, that is going to be a monster challenge. Is how do you change direction, even if, okay, Steph, forget Steph. Draymond played 32 minutes a game this past year. All right. If he's on the team, like, he's got to play.
Played 35 last night.
Even if it's 20 or even if it's 25 plus. So, like, I think, I don't know how you change direction if you have the big 3 here, because they're just always going to be hugely vital. They have to be. Steve-O's in San Francisco. What's up, Steve-O?
Hey, guys. Thanks for taking my call.
Sure.
And thanks to you guys and Evan and the whole 95-7 team for just taking us through the season. It's been a thrill to listened to your analysis, and it's been my work companion for most of the year. So I really appreciate that. And I want to thank the Warriors. I mean, what a great effort. No one can say they didn't try. It was exciting and heartbreaking, all wrapped up into one. And so, you gotta kind of tip your caps to their effort. Going to what we're going to do in the future, I think, the writing's on the wall. We've been talking about it for a while. It is the end of this dynasty, I think. It's certainly the end of Warriors basketball as we've known it, with the motion offense, with the high level of passing and split action and kinetic pace. You can't have Steph Curry running a marathon every game to get open anymore. It's just not. You're not going to have that next year. So you got to move to a pick and roll kind of a situation. You got to move to a slower offense.
But unfortunately, Steph can't play that way 32 minutes a night anymore either. So you're going to need somebody to do it half the time, I think. But that was supposed to be what Chris Paul was supposed to be here for. No, I hear you, Steve-O. Thank you for the call. Appreciate it. You good?
Yeah. You were talking. I'm all right.
Let's go to Brian in San Diego. Let's talk about the future of the Warriors. What's up, Brian? How you doing, man?
Hey, what's up, Steiny? What's up, Guru?
Hey.
Love you guys' show, man. I watch you guys every morning on YouTube. Granted, I'm in San Diego, so I can't get the station. But look, I'll keep it short and sweet. I think we're all jumping the gun a little here on this being the end. I mean, let's all remember this is basketball. Teams have bad nights. Clay obviously had a bad night. But, I mean, game one of the 2022 finals, the Celtics shot the lights out from three, and they've never done it since. So, I mean, bad games happen. I think Steph's still in prime shape. I mean, before last night's game, all anybody was talking about was how Steph is repeating his unanimous MVP season. So, you see what I'm saying here?
Not really.
Oh, all right, fair.
Like, Steph's not the problem to me, and I don't know.
He's not the biggest problem.
Yeah,
but he's a challenge.
Yeah,
like every aging superstar.
Yeah, but where would you be without him?
I don't know.
I do know. You would be a lottery team,
which you are now.
Well,
you're a lottery team
I'm
now.
mad, yeah, I got you.
You're a lottery team now.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe that's the silver lining. I'm not kidding.
Well, isn't
can you
that
stumble?
protected?
Can you stumble into four? The Warriors need to get. They need to find out the odds on the Warriors getting up into the top four. They need some lottery luck.
I think Spadoni put it on the vine. It was minute.
Well, that was just for the number one pick.
Oh.
0.7. They probably have about a 5% chance of moving up in the draft. Like, they're in the lottery right now. So if they move up to 1, 2, 3, or 4,
they keep it?
They keep it.
GP3.
Yeah. There's a silver lining. Jason's in the Central Valley. Hey, Jason, how you doing?
Thanks for taking my call, boys. Appreciate it. What a disgusting loss yesterday. Very disappointing as a fan. But I'll tell you who's more pissed off than anybody right now, and that's got to be Joe Lacob. This guy invested so much into this particular season. He's already gone on record saying that he wants to stay under the tax going into next season. So I think writing is on the wall for Clay going bye-bye. And if that's the case, why not look at free agency and use that money that everybody wants to use on Clay? Why don't you sign a guy like Paul George, who is an established scorer, an established defender? Why not? I mean, what is there to lose, right, with signing a guy like that? You'll have a secondary scorer, possibly a primary scorer alongside Curry. That's just my take on what possibly can be done next season. But I think it is going to be one of the more interesting offseason stories for the Warriors going in this offseason. I can't wait to see how it falls out and how it plays out. Thanks for taking my call, guys. Appreciate your time.
Speaking of which, $400 million get you no playoffs. That's what this payroll was this season. 400.
Eesh.
Man.
Yeah. I mean, the other thing is as it relates to Steph, and okay, we're gonna do everything for Steph. even if you get players in here, so Steph, like I think you got to be careful of coming back with a team that doesn't have Klay Thompson and that doesn't have maybe Kevon Looney, because then it's Steph, Draymond, and like who's been with him? Like who's his, other than Draymond, like who's his buffer there to the past? Is it just going to be Draymond Green? You know, I mean, that's where it's like I can't get the vision of Draymond getting kicked out against Orlando out of my mind and what it did to Steph.
Yeah.
So you've got a core that you got to deal with, but that is and I don't want to say security blanket, but it's guys that Steph has played with now for one guy, 14 years, the other guy probably 8 or 9. Like, you got to be careful about having them just leave and bringing some guys in here that don't know their way around. And now Steph looks around and says, all I got's Draymond and a bunch of younger guys that I don't even know. Like, I think there's a danger in that too, Goo.
Man, well, to me, it's about winning and losing. And as long as Curry's been doing this, Steiny, and it's been a while and he's been great at it, I think that comes with the territory. But, don't get me wrong. I got to believe he could care less who's around him as long as they were a threat. You know what I mean? And he's not at home watching LeBron and possibly LeBron. Yeah, the rest of the league try to add to their trophy total.
But then you also have to be realistic about you're gonna move around pieces on your team and you're gonna bring somebody in here who's pretty good. I mean, you're still going up against every team.
Wow.
You're still going up against Oklahoma City and Denver. And that's the thing. I mean, I look at Oklahoma City, I look at Denver, I look at Minnesota. They're young teams, they're getting better. I look at Memphis, they're going to get Ja back. I look at Houston, that was knocking on the door.
Scary, man. The Spurs are going to get better.
And can your philosophy be a patchwork in a year that elevates us back to the top, knowing, Goo, that it may cost you in 2027 or 2028?
Man, I'm not going to cry, but I want to ask you, Steiny and Evan, is there a price to a dynasty?
Yes. Oh, my God, yes.
And maybe, I ain't going to drop them. If there is, here in the Bay, then, Steiny, there is no solution on the basketball aisle 4.
Not
unless you do something like a triple bypass and shake the world trying. And that means saying our future is now and we'll deal with what, I'm going down fighting, I guess, Steiny.
The bottom line is this. This isn't about the Warriors anymore. It's about the fans.
Wow.
We're going to see what kind of fans Warrior fans are right now, I think. I mean, I know what kind the older generation is. The ones that saw the 12 straight years and no playoffs. They hung in there for decades and decades and decades. The reality is that, yes, there is a price for a dynasty, and it usually means you're going to have a couple or more tough years. You just are. So, to me, I look at it as though this is the natural evolution of 4 titles in 10 or 11 years of what it is. How can you shorten this period? How can you get back on top? How can you get better? That may take a couple years. So this is about the fans. Now, how many fans jump ship?
And they're spoiled, and it's not their fault.
We'll also find out how many Curry fans we have as opposed to how many Warrior fans we have. Like the minute, things aren't going great right now.
I just can't believe they're not in the playoffs, Steiny, and we're not going to be
fans.
Like my Friday evening was predicated on the Warriors playing the Lakers or the Pelicans. And shame on me, but man.
Oh, there's also a price just for going all in general. Like, there's a price for everything. I mean, the Houston Rockets are just now getting back into semi-relevancy after moving off of James Harden, who was their franchise. They didn't win a championship, but they went all in to try to beat the Warriors, and this is the place that they're in.
And they hit on Jalen Green.
Look at the Brooklyn Nets. I mean, they went all in on Kevin Durant, Kyrie Irving, and James Harden, and now they're stuck for a little bit. Like, it's not just dynasties that suffer after. If you go all in and push your chips in the middle of the table, whether you win or lose, you're going to face some sort of repercussion for it.
I'm thinking about the Rams in football. Yeah, they won the Super Bowl, but
by the way, they have their first round pick in like the last 8 years.
And they hung in there, didn't they?
They won a Super Bowl.
I know. After that, they made the playoffs once or twice, didn't they?
Yeah,
since the Super Bowl. Yeah, so they didn't. In other words, they didn't fall off a cliff entirely.
Well, the Warriors did that last year. They made it.
Yeah, and
boy, man, I just don't know. That's why it's so, I guess, exciting but scary at the same time, Steiny, of what's about to happen. But what if the answer to that is goo? Nothing's about to happen. I cannot imagine whatever Joe Lacob is doing, Mr. Lacob, today, he's happy. I just can't. I understand losing guys is not winning, but not beating Sacramento on the road when you were favored and you got the big three and you got Wiggins and Kuminga and you're paying $400 million and Sacramento doesn't have Malik Monk and Kevin Huerter. And kudos to Mike Brown, but isn't everybody, the secret sauce was Bliss Curry. The Pelicans did it last Friday. Like, people are giving Mike Brown credit, and I love Mike Brown, and I'm rooting for the Kings, but that wasn't new. And that's the problem. Wiggins was a no-show again, Steiny. Made a couple moves early. The ball went out on his leg. I was like, oh, you guys, Sacks panicked. They're challenging early, but just nobody had nothing. And I get Pods and Moody and Kuminga great on the curve.
Anybody who watched this team all year knew they don't put, like...
Talk to me.
The idea that this team was going to win 2 road games and make a run when all season long we watched them be inconsistent.
See, this hurts.
Because when they play 5 games in 10 nights, it catches up to them. Like, how many times did we have to see that? How many times do we have to see Steph go 13 for 21 and then have a game a short time later and struggle? The big three cannot put consistent enough games together anymore for long enough stretches for them to be successful. How can you have this team right now and rely most heavily on the big three, but we know they're not as consistent? Like, how can you have let me ask you this, how can this team have a really good regular season so that they could make some noise from a 3 or 4? Like, how? I don't think it can anymore if it's relying on the big three to each play 30-plus minutes a night. I just don't think they can. Let's go to Seymour in San Francisco. What's up, Seymour?
Thanks, guys, for taking my call, man. Love the show. Look, if we having a different conversation, if Draymond don't miss 27 games, like you telling me they couldn't win 7, 8 more games, possibly even 6.
Okay, so there you go.
I hear you.
Okay, they're a 53-win team. In that case.
And when you look at, the top seed in the West was like 57 games. You know what I'm saying? They could have been the 1 seed, and we having a different conversation.
Oh, my gosh. Seymour.
But yeah.
But what?
He's saying 57. I think that's too high. But the sentiment is right, Steiny. There were some more wins in Draymond's absence. So, and you said it perfectly before the game, Steiny. I got to give you credit. No victory lap. I'm sure you don't want one, but you're like, anything could pop off, and 0 for 10 popped off. And that's not the only reason they lost. But again, had they got to a series, maybe he is right. We're talking about something different. And I think that's what hurts me most is I wanted to see that this team
so
play not in a 7-game.
But they didn't. They're not good enough.
Know what? You're right.
Like,
they didn't earn it.
Are we we're not doing that, are we? I know we did. I know we've done that. They should have 6 titles.
Well, running it back is on the table. As much as you think the big three can't sustain it.
I don't think so.
No, I hear you. But it is, to me, it's an option.
Okay, so then what are you doing with Kuminga?
Breaking him off his chain.
Okay, well, that's what I will bet you that the Golden State Warriors will not re-sign Klay Thompson and extend Jonathan Kuminga this offseason. I'd be very surprised. And then if you do that, then you got to move Wiggins, probably.